We're recording.
All right, welcome to the Fearless Freedom Family Call. We were just talking about how on Team Retreat, we're all going to watch Wayne's World because Kelly and Angie, they want to spread that fire throughout the team or something. Just kidding. Honestly, I'm really excited about our topic today because it's something that I personally have just struggled with. It's not naturally in my personality, but it's something that as a team, if we can grow in this particular area, it will make a huge difference on creating that team culture for not just for what the team we have now, but for our team as it grows. Because I think, especially with our team, we have a very special team. I've been connected with a lot of outside teams to the stuff I did with the Beachbody DC Council, and our team is special. We really are like a family. So we really have a lot going for us already. But as we continue to grow in these areas, it'll even solidify more that team culture that we're creating and pass on down to, the coaches that we sign up, the challengers that we get into our groups. So tonight I'm talking about this book right here. It's called How Full Is Your Bucket? This is a little gem that my husband discovered, and it's written by the same guy, Tom Rath, who did StrengthsFinder. So as you grow in your business, doing the StrengthsFinder test, reaching out to your upline or Kelly and I would be something really awesome to do because it shows you a lot. But one of the things that what he talks about in this is all about filling our buckets. And it's not how full is your bucket as far as how busy are you, but it really is, it all comes down to positivity versus negativity. And to be honest, the book that started my journey to change, that's right, Angie, she's got it. The book that started my journey to change was a book called Success Through a Positive Mental Attitude. And really, honestly, what happens up here or how we express or the things that we talk to, the people we surround ourselves. Angie's texting that she's a star student. You're a star student, Angie. 2 thumbs up, man. Recognition! But seriously, so you threw me off track. I'm ADHDing. So basically, though, really, to be honest, pouring into others is a way that we can, Team Beachbody has it as the 4th vital behavior, but it is a way that we can grow, not only personally, but with our family and with others. And I'm going to move my presentation because if I keep watching Angie laughing and someone texting, you're going to ADHD me all over the place even more. So I have created a PowerPoint presentation to kind of walk through. Oh, don't be sorry. Be Angie. To kind of walk through the book, How Full Is Your Bucket? And really to help give us some more tips on how to really recognize those in our lives and create that positivity that we need. So let me share my screen. There we go. And there's my beautiful PowerPoint. So how full is your bucket? First of all, the theory of the dipper in the bucket that this guy talks about is that we all have an invisible bucket. And every day it is empty or filled depending on our daily activities. So words and actions will affect, how full our bucket is. A full bucket is when we're positive and we have lots of energy and we're stronger, we're more optimistic, we're just in a much better place. An empty bucket is when, we do have that poisoned outlook and lack of energy, and he says undermining our willpower. But what really came to my mind was really that willpower to do our power hour or to do the things that we know we need to be doing every single day, whether that's at home or whether that is in our Beachbody community. So what he talks about, and I really loved the way he put this, but what happens when we fill or empty other people's buckets by our own interactions with others. And personally, I love this because even looking at the spiritual life, for those, I know that we have quite a few people who really have a lot of faith on our team, but really looking at that, pouring and seeing what happens when we pour into others, it really does, reflect. So creating a positive culture The fourth vital behavior with Beachbody is recognition. So a Gallup poll revealed that regular recognition and praise increases productivity and creates higher loyalty and satisfaction scores. So I don't have a lot of numbers in this, but I thought these were important because Beachbody always says, oh, it's a vital behavior if you want to grow your business. And so we need to understand, well, it does reach out and increase that productivity and creates that loyalty with our challengers, with our coaches, and that connection. Again, it comes back to, you'll always see me going back to love and belonging and all that stuff I talk about in my book. But it creates that bond that we have and to get that loyalty. So he gives 5 strategies for creating a more positive organization. I like to think it's 5 strategies for creating a more positive, but also encouraging. I think of K-Love, a positive and encouraging family environment, challenge group environment. And these strategies, again, can be trickled down to our kids and our family and our spouse and friends. It covers everything. So strategy 1 is prevent bucket dipping. Oh, so really quickly, let me explain real quick what he says about bucket dipping. I thought I had a slide on that and I skipped right over it. So he says we all have this bucket, okay? And depending on what we're doing, our bucket gets filled or emptied every single day. So if we take the dipper, let's say, and we pour into someone else's bucket, we say, hey, you know what? You're doing really awesome. Or I just loved what you posted the other day. It really connected with me. I really connected with me. When we do that to someone else and we imagine you have that full bucket and we're pouring into someone else's, we're actually pouring into our own as well, which is why when we're having a hard day, pouring into someone else will often help to lift us up. And then on the opposite end of it, every time we dip out of someone else's bucket with negativity, we're actually dipping out of our own. Because anytime that we're negative about someone else, it will create that negativity inside. Which you can say that faith-based spiritually, but also just on a physical level, it does that, which is why they say we're the sum of the 5 people we hang out with the most. I remember when I first moved to Virginia, some of my immediate friends in my circle, there was a lot of talking about other people and negativity. And I fell into some of that. And I remember hating afterwards those conversations, just feeling so empty. And this is kind of what it's like. So every time we pour into others, our bucket's filled. Every time we take out of someone else's bucket, we're emptying out of our own. And it just creates a more negative versus positive. So these are some things like I didn't put too much on bucket dipping because I think most of us on our team are pretty darn positive. But he says, saying something hurtful or neglecting to do something. And this is the part that I think that maybe, I know I've been guilty of this, neglecting to do something that maybe would have filled someone else's bucket. Sometimes we get so caught up in our own lives that perhaps we just don't see it. And that's why learning about it and being mindful will be really helpful. So in the first strategy, he talks about focusing on bucket filling. So building relationships, spending time in meaningful activities, commenting, and we do this, informing, commenting on people's Facebook statuses, lifting them up, being positive. And a great example is, I don't know if you've seen all the negativity, I'm sure you have, can't have avoided it, on the news feeds. About the political negativity, the Women's March negativity, and a way that we can fill buckets is just by being that positive light, providing experiences that help each individual know that he or she matters and that his or her life is meaningful. So often we feel alone. We feel like we're the only one. So when we can reach out and help someone know that they are special and they are loved and they do belong, we also end up filling our own buckets. Sometimes we can fill or dip out of an individual's bucket without realizing it. So he talks about how to avoid this. He says, first of all, write down some specific actions that dip from your own bucket, as well as the consequences when that happens. Like when someone does something that affects you negatively, what are the consequences in your life? Then write down specific actions that fill your bucket, as well as the consequences of what happens when you have your bucket filled. And then asking teammates to do the same so that we can see what actions actually dip or fill the buckets of others in our lives. And this kind of goes to personalities. You know, Pearl is not going to have the same, or someone who's a phlegmatic is not going to have the same needs, or the bucket filling is not going to be the same as someone who's a Ruby or a choleric, you know, or melancholic. So it's getting to understand what fills other people's buckets. So I did think about this, and you guys could let me know what you think, but I did think maybe as a team, it would be kind of cool to have a thread where we talk about this, where we say, okay, these are things that actually dip from my bucket and leave me feeling bad. And these are things that fill my bucket. And maybe if we kind of learn from other people on the team, what are those areas, then we know how to lift each other up. We know the ways to make someone else feel special, because we've asked and we've kind of, you know, we take that opportunity. So his second strategy is shine a light on what's bright. So create lists of those who are already making a positive difference. These are ways to recognize. So that's what we, you know, with the SC shout outs and stuff, you know, people who are posting in challenge groups. So don't shine a light. He's basically saying on the negative things. So if there's people who are not posting in challenge groups, then making a public post and saying so-and-so and so-and-so and so-and-so are not posting in challenge groups would not be the way to go. And I don't think anyone in our team would do that. But on the other flip side of it, remembering to create lists and remember people who are making a positive difference. Writing thank you notes. Now he says weekly thank you notes, but even if we took one day out of a week where we wrote a handful of thank you notes and just got them off in the mail. I'm the worst at this. I really want to work on it because what I've seen recently in talking to different friends is what a difference it makes. And he talks about really just that alone can change the culture of our team. It's in the little things, letting people know that they're wanted, that they're appreciated. A lot of times that's all we want. So notice what other people do well, recognizing those who are doing behaviors and making a difference, stepping out of their comfort zone. So we see a lot of this, like someone gives a great vulnerable post. Oh my gosh, look at this vulnerable post. This person did awesome. Things like that would fall within that category. And then finally, sharing the wealth. So if we see someone else, or we hear about how another coach was lifted up in a post or comments by challengers or whatever, even like lifting that up in front, you know, of the team, or in a note, or reaching out and reinforcing that. And just so you know, I can't see any of your chats if you're saying anything to me while we're doing this. So just unmute yourself and interrupt. I'm from a big family. I'm used to that. So strategy 3 is make best friends. Now he does say, you know, not that you have to be glued at the hip and your best friends forever, but you know what? This is so true. And I've seen this on our team. So like I said, a lot of the stuff we're already good at, and it's just a matter of making that ripple effect throughout our team and continuing as we get new challengers and new coaches and people on to continue doing this. But creating an environment that supports welcomes trusted relationships. So when he says best friends, it's like we need to be able, within our team, to be able to, and even challengers, they're people we learn from, people we lean on, and people that we can challenge to be better. You know, so on our team, I can definitely say that there are coaches who have challenged me to be a better person and have reached out. And I'm so grateful that we have that kind of relationships. But it's to remember that as we get new coaches coming in, that they need to be brought into that as well. So the way that we do this, some of the ways he suggests are learn the names of everyone we see regularly. So everyone on the team, get to know a little bit about them. You know, when you start noticing them posting, take the time to message and get to know your challengers or your friends outside of the working relationship. So that would be, honestly, you have a new coach. It's not just reaching out to your coach and saying you want help with the business. It's looking at their Facebook feed and sending that message. Hey, how are you doing today? I noticed the kids you had a rough morning with the kids. Are you hanging in there? But it's remembering that it is about building those friendships, more outside of just the working relationship that we have. So another way is just to ask, especially with your coaches. This is be important, and challengers, but ask, what is a way to fill their buckets? Because not everyone's good at taking hints or at being intuitive. I'm a very good example of that. My husband has learned the hard way. Michelle doesn't take hints. You have to hit her with a mallet over the head. And then, so I've had to ask him, can you write me a list of ways that I can make, he's like, but I told you a million times, can you write me a list of the ways that I can make you feel good and loved? So sometimes really reaching out and asking is important, especially when we're dealing with different personality types. Another cool thing he talked about was doing team trivia. So I really think that this could be something kind of fun, just maybe once a week or something, asking a question and everybody getting to get on and answer and kind of get to know each other better. And again, it goes to just that whole tribe mentality. And I think we really do use the word family even more so than tribe, because we really are on our team. It goes a lot deeper than just being a tribe, but being more of a family and being there for each other. So strategy 4 is give unexpectedly. So he said some of the most memorable bucket filling isn't planned. So it could be a kind comment, a kind word out of the blue. It could be sending a gift. Anyone can fill buckets by recognizing when others have been helpful or done amazing work. So even if it's not your coach and you see that someone did something, it kind of touches you, we do this on our team a lot as well, but it is making that positivity as a culture shift where everybody is noticing and recognizing efforts. I mean, it doesn't take away from our job as coaches to make sure that we're recognizing the people who need it. And again, like, I know that I'm preaching to myself, quite a bit here as well. But when we have that connection as a team, it does permeate the culture, and it will trickle down and create that ripple effect. People will start to look to each other for feedback. We already have some of that. Recognition is no longer dependent on an upline or direct coach, and I do see people recognizing and reaching out, and it'll happen more frequently. It becomes contagious. Again, that ripple effect. So I love, he says, it's not about how many drops you give, but the quality of the recognition you give. Because Beachbody it's the 4th vital behavior: recognize, recognize, recognize. Well, if it's an empty recognition, or if it's a recognition for the sake of recognition, it could seem as just that. Like, oh, you're just recognizing me because you're supposed to, not because it's meaningful. So he talks about rating on these different things. 1 to 5, 5 being the highest. Did the person deserve the recognition? The recognition I gave was about a specific thing. I individualized it to the person, something the person would like, and I found out how that person likes to receive recognition, privately or in front of others. So it's the kind that they like. And then I thought about the best time to give this person recognition. So, sometimes we're just going to throw it out there, but as we grow, having these kind of in mind, is just going to help with the quality, and really having it be meaningful and mean something to our customers and challengers as well. Creative ways to give unexpectedly. I loved this list because I personally need lists like this. He talks about give drops. He says, so drops in the bucket. So he has little drop shaped cards, but thank you notes for things that we notice or appreciate. So when we see that someone does something, to actually write a card and get it in the mail. Give your time. So spend time with someone who's been asking for help, attention, or advice. So that could be doing a little training, teaching someone how to do the Jesse Regan Facebook things. It could be Angie's looking at me. But really, it is just when you give your time, you're giving something you will never get back, and so that is a really big thing. Giving public praise. So finding opportunities other than, he says award ceremonies, we don't really have that, but to praise someone in front of others if that person likes that kind of recognition. Give by following through on commitments. Give, and this reminds me of a book that my girlfriend read. the 4 agreements. And one of them is be impeccable with your word. And that can be a tough one when you're a busy mom and a lot of crazy stuff going on. We intend to follow through, and sometimes it's harder for some of us than others. And I know I've been something I personally have worked on over the last 4 years, but it's important following through on commitments. Give by listening carefully and remembering the things that other people say are important, and then acting on something they mentioned is a great way to give unexpectedly. Give others credit for contributions they made to work, activities, or programs. Give to the whole. So recognizing the whole team by something we do as a team that turns out great. Hey guys, you guys did awesome. We all did great teamwork together. And then give what's already been given. So shine the spotlight on positive customer comments, kind of like we were talking about before. If someone gets great feedback, to kind of shine the light on that. The 5th strategy is reverse the golden rule. And again, like this reminds me of the 5 love languages. I don't know if you've ever read that book, where he talks about how we often tend to try to make others feel good or do something nice for them. But it's often just automatically based on what we like and the way that we like things. He says, so don't do for others a wet. You like that? I spelled wet wrong. Don't do for others what you would like. Do for others what they would like. Again, it's looking at how do you like your bucket to be filled. It might not be the same for someone else as it is for us. The only way to be sure is to ask, getting out of the comfort zone sometimes, but learning what fills the bucket of the people around you is a powerful way to transform the culture of your team and organization. And a lot of times we've heard this before. This is nothing new. We understand that we have to learn how to really connect with the people on our team, what's going to help drive them further. I mean, some of us have done the GEMS training, we've done color training, we've done any type of personality studies will say this. So it's not any different, but a lot of times it just does require asking and then moving forward. So I really liked this. He had this in the back of his book, but I thought it would be almost nice to be able to send this to our coaches, but to just say how to tell me in front of a large group, tell me in a written note, tell me one-on-one, tell me in front of my family and friends, so they could use a plus or a minus. How to show me with a gift certificate, with a new title, a greater responsibility, so it goes through to help give a better idea of how to connect and how to really make someone feel special or that they're cared about. Because honestly, I mean, that, again, it all often comes right back to that sense of being appreciated and belonging. And that's what recognition is really about. And that's why it's important to make sure that when we're recognizing, it's sincere and thought out, So anyway, that is my presentation. I was just looking at a squirrel. Okay, squirrel, massive love theme. I just wrote thank you notes to all my challengers. Rebecca, you are so good at that. Kelly is really good at that as well. But yeah, does anyone have any questions based on the call so far? And I kept it to 30 minutes.
Good job. I have a quick question. I am such an emerald, but I love the last 2 pages. I liked a bunch of that, but I even snapped a picture of one of the slides. I think it was awesome. But the last 2 pages, the one page that says, how do you like your bucket filled? Could we scan that page and put it in a PDF?
I think that would be a really good
idea. I just think that's a really great, I think that's good to know about people. I think that's really good to know about
on my to-do list.
Because I would love to send that to my coaches, and honestly, even my challengers. I would love to save that and send it to my challengers.
You can even take the questions and make a Google form for them to fill out. So that's Google Forms changed, which is really nice now, because it used to put all your info in a spreadsheet, but now it doesn't, which is really nice. So I'm going to start using them again, because then you can print them off and stick them in wherever you track, or just keep them online. But it's great to use as a guide.
I thought it was cute. I thought it was cute in a little bucket.
It was. That was cute.
Yeah, I love the way that he put it, because it is, and I forget that for especially our newer coaches, some of this stuff is new. Some of this is stuff that you might already be doing, but learning to choose who we surround ourselves with, that's not always the easiest thing to do. When we realize that maybe we need to change friendships or make some changes, that can be kind of difficult, but it does permeate into our life. And when it takes from our bucket, it's also taking from our families, you know, because again, if we don't have a full bucket, it's really hard to give, you know. So any other questions, or everyone, is that good? Was it good info? Yeah, I took lots of notes myself while I was making this presentation and reading the book, and I'm like,
It's a cute concept too for kids. Like my kids did this, something like this. I think they wrote a book like this version for little ones that our teacher did. And so we've talked about doing this at home. And Tracy Morrow actually did like a long time ago, talked about it, like a marble jar. It's or a bucket where when you like affirm one another and you drop like a coin in there to show like that we're lifting one another up, kind of thing. But I like this a lot, Michelle. Thank you. This was good.
you're welcome.
Well, and I have the shout out thing every day, but it is sometimes with my kids and sometimes it's with coaches and sometimes it's challengers. I just kind of count it for my life. So whoever it happens to be for, that's who the shout out goes to. So sometimes it's in the groups and sometimes it isn't.
I like that a lot because it weaves it all together.
Yeah, because I don't lift my kids up or my husband up or the people in my life up enough. I spend a lot of time demanding things from them and asking things of them and expecting them to do their chores or whatever. So that's one of my reminders. While I don't necessarily think it's needed all the time on Beachbody stuff, I really do think it's needed in my regular life because it's good for me to remember to do that stuff.
So you can fill their bucket, or you can give them their mattresses back, which is like filling their bucket too.
That's right.
Angie Bradley can do hard things. No, I love that though. I think that is something to remember.
This has to do with just, the whole value of being optimistic and enthusiastic. Like, I was thinking about that because in the rooftop group, we were asked like how optimistic we are and to ask our team how optimistic we were and ask our family members. And I was like, I'm sure my team would probably think I was pretty optimistic. I don't think my family had said the same thing with how I was at the time. I'm like, gut check, So I like how you just said that, Angie, of weaving it all together because it's part of my bat every day to try to offer like recognition to somebody. But I love that it can come from, because I don't like to do it just to do it. Like I like to have a meaning behind it.
But it's good to look for it.
Mm-hmm.
That's the thing that's important to me is that I have to look for it somewhere in my life. So that's cool. The important part, whether it's with my kids or whoever it happens to be, as long as I'm looking for it and seeking it out, that's the important part.
That's really cool.
I love that. I need to start doing that. So, do you want to stop recording?
Yeah, yes.